Rabbi Lau was in the Buchenwald concentration camp at the end of World War II. He was 8 years old when he was liberated by the American Army, and he describes in his autobiography a scene that takes place a few days after liberation. The American Army marched the citizens of Weimar. Weimar was a 10-minute walk from the Buchenwald concentration camp. And they brought the citizens of Weimar to see the atrocities that had been perpetrated by their government and their countrymen. And Rabbi Lau describes that at one moment, a tall African-American soldier picked him up and showed him to the crowd and spoke to them in German. And he said, "You see this little boy? It is because of him that you fought a world war. It is because of him that you blindly followed the Fuhrer. You murdered his parents. You nearly murdered him." And Rabbi Lau describes that the Germans in the crowd were bent over with shame, and some of them were sobbing. And he says at that moment, he felt a sense of dignity, a sense of pride, because at that moment, the soldier spoke for him and spoke for his parents and spoke for the entire Jewish people. Indeed, the soldier was speaking a biblical message, because the Torah tells us that the world has one creator and one God, and all of humanity is one family, that every human being is created in the image of God, and it is our responsibility to listen to the cries of the orphan and the widow and the stranger. Today is Juneteenth, which commemorates the emancipation of the slaves after the Civil War, and has long been a celebration in the African American community. This year, after the murder of George Floyd, all Americans need to consider the message of Juneteenth, because the message of Juneteenth is a biblical message. It is a message of freedom. Ukrasem drar ba'aretz l'chol yoshveha, that one needs to declare in the land freedom for all of its inhabitants, that we must remind ourselves that all of humanity must be treated with dignity, decency, and equality. And freedom is not only a gift, but it is our responsibility to bring to each and every human being.